What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Batman the Fan-imated stream. We are back after taking a week off because obviously it was a holiday weekend last week, so we took the weekend off. But we are back on Sunday, of course, because I had a thing I had to go to yesterday. So
it was fine. I was too busy watching sports ball. So
exactly, and then we were kind of just talking about that before we fired up right here. Alabama doing some work for you, huh?
Oh yeah. My boys, my
boys.
As much as everyone on Twitter hates my boys, I love my boys.
There you go. I like it. So yeah, we're back here talking about Dreams in Darkness.
Such a good episode.
Such a great episode. I mean, just it was one of those when mentioned last episode, and it's again, it's always like the trend of like, man, I'm trying to remember certain things. I remember Batman in the Straitjacket, something. I'm like, and I know it's a Scarecrow episode, but then little plot points I forgot. Then all of a sudden it was just like, oh god, yeah, this, and man, let's talk about some comparisons to a certain cinematic movie.
I know a little. The comparisons were a little distracting when I saw that movie. I mean,
some of the notes I literally just like go, Batman Begins, Batman Begins. You made it from Venom. Cool. What's going on, Tyler? And we got Mr. Northman here too. Hey, you made it just in time. Just in time. But before we actually get started, some news actually happened over the weekend at Comic-Con or CCXP. And pretty exciting.
I think it was like Los Angeles. It was actually, I think, like
Los Angeles. It Los Angeles?
It was Los Angeles, yeah.
Okay, I totally missed that. I don't know why I thought CCXP.
CCXP was happening this weekend too.
Okay, so that's where I got confused.
Yeah, that's where you got confused, yeah.
Okay, but here's the article right here from THR, and it's pretty damn awesome. We have Batman the Animated Series audio drama in the works with the original cast. So this is pretty exciting right here.
Yeah.
We got actors Kevin. Go ahead.
It was a Conroy and a Glover.
Yeah. Who voices the Riddler, of course. Shared the news out of at Los Angeles Comic-Con Saturday, of course. That's and we got Project with Batman scribe Alan Burnett. So yeah, pretty much it said it's a great script by Alan Burnett, and it brings back the original cast. Conroy said during the History of Batman panel hosted by London Jackson, and then of course Glover. I love his line right here: "The Riddler's back, and he's evolved in many ways. He understands he's on the spectrum." Interesting.
I know, right?
Right. And I guess Will Friedel. That's how you say his last name, right?
You know what? I never know how to pronounce. I just like Terry.
But yeah, he was also on the panel too. Interesting, but maybe they'll do something with Batman Beyond. So, but that's pretty exciting.
What I thought was interesting in the article is it did detail who of the original cast is still alive.
It's very true, because some of them sadly have passed away.
Yeah, but Penguin's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Robin's still alive. The original Batgirl, Melissa Gilbert, is still around.
So
Two-Face is still around. Catwoman's still around. Like, there was actually some names, Poison Ivy still around. So there was actually, I was looking at that list of names going, oh, I'm so glad they're still here.
I know, right? So yeah, we're pretty excited about that. Thank you for linking me to that tweet yesterday too, because I didn't catch it at first, and I was like, "Ooh, gotta talk about it tonight." Of course.
You know what? If it's the same like production, like they didn't talk about who is like the venue, like they don't know where the things come out, because there's that Spotify podcast that Goyer's doing.
Yeah.
And then there's the Batman Audio Adventures that's on HBO Max with Jeffrey Wright. If they can at least match the production quality of that, because that's fabulous production quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. So hopefully, I'm sure it's going to be something, because we always wonder like what. I think we've been talking about it before. Like when DC Universe, the app came out, I was like, why aren't they doing a revival of Batman the Animated Series? I always thought that would be kind of cool. And I think even Kevin Smith talked about it. I wonder, is this what Kevin Smith was talking about that one time, maybe?
You know what? I'd wonder if it was this.
Or was it the other
animated series
thing? Yeah.
I don't know. But this seems like this is so cool, because you got Alan Burnett and you've got and they're selling the fact that that a lot of the original voice cast come back. And honestly, this works out, because how much easier is it just to do an audio podcast versus like an actual produced, animated show?
Yeah, exactly. What are you trying to say, Scott? That some things that we want that can come in different forms is easier.
Stop
And I'm
it.
not going to
Stop.
go there. I'm
Stop.
not going to go
No,
there.
no, no. You just went. Stop it. Don't.
I
I really don't
know.
need you to light a match right now.
I
Okay.
know. I know. It just.
Behave, Dave.
I know.
Behave.
I know.
I'm gonna
Where's your
put you in a
bottle?
straight jacket. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put you in a dark room, and you're never coming out. I want you to understand this.
You have to trust me. Where's the water supply of Arkham? Anyways, so let's get started on talking about this. I mean, obviously, what we always talk about the opening of this episode, and man, talk about the Shirley Walker score when that title card comes and with the strings and how eerie it sounds. Oh.
In this title card, I mean, we're kind of blocking it right now with our stupid faces, but the fact that the title card is Batman in a straitjacket, and it's a silhouette because it's being illuminated by the light coming out of the barred windows. I mean,
I know when you look at this title card, it throws you off, and even the opening throws you off because we're in Arkham and we got these doctors that walk up to the cell that has Batman already in the straitjacket, and you're like, well, what happened? What do we miss here? What's going on?
I know, right? It's like now here's some cool background I wanted to give you about this episode.
Okay.
This is, and I don't know how accurate this is, but if it's not true, it is eerily serendipitous. Like there's way too many connections here. It is claimed that this episode is loosely based on a story arc called The Last Arkham. It appeared in the first 4 issues of Shadow of the Bat that was published from June to September of 1992. Now, interestingly enough, that story introduced 3 new characters.
Okay.
Victor Zsasz, Dr. Jeremiah Arkham, and now a character I'm not familiar with, Amygdala.
Amygdala, yeah.
But if you think about the fact that this was the creation of Zsasz and Dr. Jeremiah Arkham, who has basically become canon of like who runs the asylum in the comics. Yeah. Because he is the last Arkham. That's, if you're not familiar, the reason that if the listeners aren't familiar, the reason it's called Arkham Asylum is that it was the Arkham family. Go read Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum graphic novel. I mean, seriously. But in that story, Batman is trying to investigate Zsasz, so him and Gordon conspire, and they admit Batman into Arkham to go undercover.
Yeah. So you could see that. Yeah. Okay. That's damn, man. That'd be I always thought, like, when it comes to Arkham Asylum, I remember reading something. It was like a short story or something. Somebody wrote something where it was like a Batman story that was entirely taking place in Arkham Asylum, where Bruce essentially is admitted in there, and he's made to just be like crazy because he's admitted because he talks about like dressing up as a bat and all these crazy characters, but like the doctors in Arkham are kind of his rogues gallery. Like Selena is there.
Oh my goodness.
And there's a doctor named Joe Kerr or something like that. Yeah, remember that?
I remember that. And it's bugging. I hate you did this to me because now I'm gonna be like scouring, trying to remember. Was it like a black and white story from
something? I'm trying to remember what it was, but I just thought that is a really cool concept. I thought that was like, that's pretty badass. Like to have a story like that. Yeah, I know. I remember seeing that years ago and going, man, that'd be something very interesting for someone to just like do something more with. So it was a Tumblr post that Venom is saying. So somebody just kind of put it as a story. Yeah, because it wasn't anything like huge, but there was just like, it was like a basic breakdown or something like that.
It was just really good though. I remember it.
Yeah.
The other cool thing that I always found, because I remember when since we've spoken with Dr. Letamendi from Arkham Sessions, I remember when they broke down this episode years ago. I mean, it's so early. I mean, it's episode 28, so it's like it would have been really early in the run of the podcast. I made the realization that, do you remember the name of the doctor in this episode?
Bartholomew.
Right.
right?
The Doctor in The Dark Knight Returns is Dr. Bartholomew Wolper.
Oh, well, well, there you
And
go.
if
Yeah.
you think about Dr. Wolper in Dark Knight Returns, he's that like, oh, we need to be very kind about our
Yeah.
patient. He's very much
Wow.
the kumbaya.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this was totally like they replaced Dr. Jeremiah Arkham
Mhm.
with Dr. Bartholomew and based him completely off Wolper from Dark Knight Returns. I'm like, this is a great
Interesting.
callback.
Did not even think about that because there's just the way that he talks in there. It's very much, yeah. Wow, I didn't even. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Because
the reason
he's very much that kind of like. I mean, there's a part where they're gonna remove Batman's cowl, and he's like, "No, you cannot do that," and he gives like a reason why they because you have Batman in a straitjacket. I mean, my adult brain goes, "Why is he still dressed up as Batman if he's in this place?" You know. And they kind of show a little scene like that, which we'll talk about. But yeah,
well, let's also remember the fact that how many times have we seen Arkham Asylum where they still let the villains like wear their costumes?
very true, very true, very true. Oh yeah, I was always always wonder. I mean, and then just even watching this episode too, where as it plays out and going back to just Arkham. I mean, just having a story within Arkham. And can you imagine like not even talking about the story that we just talked about that about Bruce, but just imagine just seeing a, where they have all these villains, but they're obviously like not in their full costumes, and they're trying to actually help them out. I mean, I know we've kind of seen some of that, and like Gotham maybe touched a little bit with it, but I'm just saying like a full-on Arkham Asylum story would be. I don't know. I think I almost think that when it came to Gotham, maybe there was trying to be something like that because obviously it's not supposed to be a full-on Batman story. It's a Gordon story, but they were trying to put in so many villains,
Yes,
so
so
many like
all the villains
yeah.
basically.
And it's just kind of funny because I think the way that series kind of suffered was the fact that they were trying to do that a little too much, and then all of a sudden they're like, now we got to get Bruce to get to the to the point, and that's where it fell off a little bit for me because I thought like the first season in Gordon and Harvey and Bullock where they were just kind of like you know that I thought their dynamic was like that was gonna be the show, and there'll be some interesting stuff too. But then they just kind of went, no, we just need the Batman villains, Batman villains, Batman villains. But they had a show that's centered around Arkham Asylum. They could really probably do a lot of that. And just imagine like an episode where, oh yeah, Two-Face was just captured by Batman, and then we see him get like put in there, committed into Arkham Asylum or something like that. I don't know. Just my brain going off.
Well, I mean, but think about like when you take the Grant Morrison graphic novel, which was a heavy inspiration for the Arkham Asylum video game. Like
Yeah,
just that idea of being locked in the
true.
asylum with everybody else. Like that's just
That's
and
true.
and the history and the mythology of the Arkham family and why the asylum
Mhm.
exists in the first place. Like
It's true. Didn't think about
that's
that.
a season arc to like
Yeah.
I mean that's why they made like
Oh,
the
that first
audio
one's so good.
tapes. That's why the audio tapes were like that little side quest you could
Yeah,
do
yeah. That's why
in
that
Arkham
that game
Asylum.
is just so good. I think. Well, I didn't play Origins. I don't think. Yeah, I didn't play Origins, and I don't know. But I played. Well, I played the first two, Arkham City and Ark. I mean, that's just when you really dive into all that. I mean, ah, man, I just want to like dive back into those games again one of
Oh
these days
god, they are
because
so
they're so
worth it.
good. Yeah, it's so
Yes.
worth diving in because obviously I played them multiple times, the first two at least. So, but yeah, I need to dive back into those for sure. But yeah, so we have Batman in a straitjacket already in a cell, and it's like, what the hell? And then of course Bartholomew and a couple other docs, or one of them's just like one of
I
the
know what a release. Yeah.
yeah. And then we got Batman in there, and he's just like getting upset, saying, "Call Gordon, what's going on?" And then it's just like, okay, what's? And then I love how noir this episode is.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. You know what the first thing that came to now that I'm a grown ass man watching a
Yeah,
cartoon, the first thing that came to mind was Sunset Boulevard. Have you ever
yeah.
seen that?
I have not. I've heard of it though.
Oh, dude. Let's put it this way. The
Yeah.
movie, I mean, it's black and white, classic
Mhm.
noir, Billy Wilder written and directed. It's fabulous. But it starts off with a dead man floating in a pool and he starts to narrate, I'm sure you wonder how I got here, right? Basically that kind of thing.
So I have seen it. Sounds familiar. I don't know.
That's the one where you get the I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille.
Mr. DeVille. That's right. Okay.
That's okay. Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
But that noir idea of we're gonna dump you in a situation, we're gonna make you go WTF, and then your main character is then going to basically give you like that hard-boiled narration of let me tell you how I got here.
Exactly. No, and that's exactly what and I love it. I love it. And we flash back to Batman showing up at this health spa, which, we got this dude that's basically, and this is where you start making the connections to Batman Begins, obviously, because they're talking about the water, the water that's in the spa, and this guy is doing something like
Torchy.
Yeah, Torchy. Yeah,
I know.
That's a great name.
I know, great name, and I love the idea that he's got like this cybernetic, like appendage instead of his right hand. It's like it's got a torch, it's got a acetylene torch and a drill, and it's kind of cool though. Is that you wonder if it's like just like something he's wearing.
Yeah,
or until later he's in the hospital, you realize, oh no, that's actually his
that's what he has.
That's what he has. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if that's functional for him, cool. I guess. I mean, it's functional when Batman shows up to stop what he's doing, because then all of a sudden he pulls out that drill and Batman almost gets he almost gets a drill to the chest. Gets pretty close, but of course Batman moves it aside, hits the pipe, gas hits him in the face, and all that stuff, or steam, I should say.
Steam, because the gas comes later when he's trying to disconnect the water purifier system from the water supply.
It's funny because when Batman's like trying to pull the pipe, my first thought, just talking with these episodes with you, is like, just use your legs. Like, your legs are strong, man. Just use your legs, because you probably could do it because you got some strong legs, man. But I mean, he does end up pulling the pipe off, and it's and then of course
the fact that he doesn't bother to reach into his utility, but like his idea is these pipes are welded, and instead of grabbing a tool out of his belt, his idea is, no, I'm just gonna yank it off.
Right. I mean, and then it's funny too, because how many times have we seen Batman he has that gas, that mask like ready to go, and for some reason in this one we don't really see too much of him he covering his face or anything like that, huh?
Well, I think you gotta think, okay, to headcanon this, what I'll say is you gotta remember that the gas doesn't start until he's ripped the pipe out, because he doesn't know what that water purifier system is doing.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know that gas is going to come out when he rips that pipe out.
That's true, because I mean, when he's trying to figure it all out, and it's kind of funny too, because when Torchy gets knocked out, I mean, I love how he does the whole like, is he still alive? Puts his I almost went like, did he die? Like, is he alive? I hope so. No, I'm sure he is, obviously. But then of course he takes his equipment back to the Batcave, and basically, when he's trying to figure everything out, and this is where things start to get a little trippy for Batman, because it's an interesting scene, because I love it when he's like on the computer and we still hearing the narration and stuff, and then all of a sudden we see the Joker reflection in the computer screen, and he just immediately is like, it's just like a big gasp, because being Batman and you're in your cave and your ultimate arch nemesis shows up. I mean, that had to be just totally like, man. I mean, that is essentially, I mean, we're talking about this fear toxin that's really that would be one of Batman's ultimate fears.
And then since then I've read a Scott Snyder story that's like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
but of course it's it's actually Alfred, and so this is where we start going, okay, and then you start kind of questioning too, like, is Batman really? I mean, like, is like this whole story like him, like all, is it all just a nightmare? What is all, you start kind of questioning, even just watching it again. It's like, if I was watching this fresh, because, obviously you start remembering what happens and stuff, but you kind of just go, if you went in fresh, you kind of go, is everything just, you don't know what's real, what's not. And even it gets explained too, or gets talked to, because he obviously sees a doctor, and she even says, you're not going to know what's reality and what's not after a while.
And by the way, it is so great. Like when he goes to check up on Torchy and he's reading the medical chart. I love it when the doctor walks in and he turns to her and he basically says, "I'm going to need your, can you make an anecdote?" He said, "Why?" "Because I think I've been exposed." I love the fact that this isn't one of those stories where they dumb Batman down or they make him so macho that he's like, "Oh, this couldn't happen." Like he's like, "Nope, I've probably been exposed. Like this is an issue." Like I kind of like it was almost refreshing to see the hero go,
I need something.
I need something. Yeah.
Yeah. I need something because he knows like something. Yeah. Because, he talks about how the gas, everything just gets oxidized. And that's where, you start making those, those correlations to Batman Begins where, and then of course later on you kind of go, oh yeah. Yeah. Poisoning the water supply. Yep.
Under Arkham.
Under Arkham and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows you how good this episode is that Christopher Nolan was going, you know what? We're going to use, this right here as our basis for, that's going to happen.
It was so distracting watching Batman Begins. It was so, because I'm sitting here going, I've seen this and it wasn't even like, where have I, no, it was like, this was an episode of Batman Begins. What?
Yeah.
Anybody? Oh, I'm the only one. Okay, thanks. Gotcha.
Oh, yeah. I know. But yeah, he wants to get the antidote, and then of course he leaves in true Batman fashion. I always love it when he does the whole disappearing act, but doesn't close the window. Obviously, so there's always the flapping, like the
curtains.
Yeah, the curtains or the blinds or whatever. They're always flapping, and it's always like that. And then yeah, so we get, of course, the poisoning, it's all established. We know Scarecrow's involved. And then, Batman continuing to lose his shit, driving down this, hill or whatever the hell in this road. And he sees Robin in the middle of the road. And it's just like, oh shit. And then he crashes the Batmobile pretty badly. Badly.
And I love, and this is kind of the cool part of the writing is that he's on his way to Arkham to check on Crane.
Yeah, because he knows.
He knows. But then that's also the perfect setup that when he crashes his car, why does he get taken to Arkham? Because Arkham's right there because that's where he was headed. And I think, and just writing wise, it's like, well, that's such a great way to get him into Arkham was he was already on his way
to Arkham.
Right. And you know what? As a kid, I don't think I technically
nah.
I didn't really connect those dots. But as an adult, look at the episode, look at how the story is structured. It's like, well, that
makes sense.
That makes sense.
Because you see like people, coming to the crash, like, oh yeah, somebody's running out there. And then all of a sudden the next thing you see is he's strapped to a bed, just like getting, going down the hallways, hooked up to an IV and all. And then of course we get Bartholomew again. And this is where they actually, when he gives him something to relax and sleep. Well, first off, that doctor said when it comes to the antidote that he would have to sleep for 2 days, right?
2 days, which is the reason why when you go, okay, Batman at least was self-aware enough to acknowledge I need an antidote because obviously I've been poisoned. But he also knows he can't be out of commission for 2 days because he doesn't have that kind of time.
Exactly.
So at least there's like a noble reason why he doesn't immediately like dose himself because he's like, I don't have 2 days.
He's like, something's up. It's Scarecrow. I don't know what it is, but it's something bad. Putting everything together, especially with that water, that system where the purification system thing that was stolen, which of course you could go, oh yeah, remember the crate in Batman? Obviously that was like something different where it just all that. But you start making those connections again. Like I said, it is pretty distracting sometimes when you start going, okay, I could see how they did that and stuff. So. But so he's strapped there, and then of course this is where like when he's out, like a guy was about to take off his mask, but then Bartholomew was like, "Hey, if you do that, this is like his crutch. If he might lose his shit if he's in."
Yeah, he says he might go catatonic.
Yeah,
if we and I'm like, oh, I always love how there's always like that convenient reason for someone to not unmask Batman. It's like, thank you, doctor. I appreciate the convenient plot device you just gave us.
I know. It's like, yeah. And that's very true. Like he will like literally just go, yeah, you don't want to do that. And then when he's in the cell and he starts talking to Bartholomew again, and he's basically going, okay, he's gonna poison the water supply. And this was interesting too, is when Bartholomew starts mentioning the villains hit Batman.
Yep.
What does he say?
Jack Napier, Harvey Dent.
Napier.
Yes. I know. And I think, because I remember they used Jack Napier as canon in the animated series for Joker's real identity. I, however, think this is, since we're watching them in production order, I think this is actually the first time it gets acknowledged in the animated series that Jack Napier is the identity of the Joker.
Yeah. I think that makes sense, but it's just great. I like what I totally the name drop just was like, oh, that's pretty cool, because obviously when you look at other we don't exactly know where the Joker. I mean, obviously when you look at like Killing Joke or something like that, you don't even. It's funny because in Killing Joke, they do such a great job. It's such a great Joker story, but at the same time, as much as you find out about him, when it comes to they never like really say his name even in that story, do they?
I think maybe they I think they do. Like
I think they just called him a comedian or something like that.
I think his wife, Matt, mentioned like his first name or something, but even then, and when you get to the climax of the story, Joker even does that great line about how like my backstory is like multiple choice.
Yeah.
And so even then, after reading The Killing Joke, if you're an astute enough reader, even you're looking at that story going, so how much of that was bullshit?
Exactly. That's very true. That's very true. So, but yeah, so there was a mention of that, and it was just kind of cool to get that little name drop right there. And then obviously Batman is like just yelling at the doc, like he just knows that, hey, Scarecrow. But Bartholomew's like, he's in his cell. I don't know what you're talking about, but he's in his cell.
And I want to look at Dr. Bartholomew and goes, really?
Yeah.
The revolving door that is Arkham Asylum, and you are so certain that nobody is escaping from Arkham. I'm like, dude, do you know where you work?
Yeah, well, there's a great line that Batman even says. He goes, no security is absolute. That's what Batman says. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Especially with Arkham.
I mean,
you can have as much security as possible. These guys are like constantly going in and out of this place.
I mean, second episode, we watched Joker rocket out of the roof
on a Christmas tree. I know. So it's like, come on. It's like, hey, come on, Doc. Let's face it. The security here is not the greatest. Not the greatest. And then, we also get a scene, of course, where Scarecrow's crew is like setting everything up with with what they're doing.
Oh, by the way, I got a pop quiz.
Yeah. What the main guy? That's the voice of Robin, right?
Yes, you got it, man.
I knew it. When I heard it, I was like, that sounds a little like Robin. And then you kind of start making the connection, because you kind of go, well, obviously. We see Robin. Well, obviously we saw him in the hallucination, but we see another hallucination of Robin where he talks. And I go, okay, I know now for a fact that is, what's his name again?
Lauren Lester.
Well, yeah, there you go. And I was like, okay, that guy absolutely is, because obviously they needed another voice supply. So why not just use one of the guys you already have, since he's already coming back for Robin? So, yep, I was on top of that one. So.
Yeah, man.
There you go. I get a star on my button today from teacher. Today, guys.
Gold star.
Yeah, exactly. Right there. So we get all that. And then, of course, Scarecrow does his villainy, like, oh, well, Batman's kind of out of commission. I did all this. And, we get a little bit of an exposition dump. Not so much, but, he's doing the villain thing where he's just kind of.
But also, like, don't you love, like, the cool, like, in shadow? Like, even as a kid, we knew this was Scarecrow. But still, it's like they still, like, put him, like, half in shadow. And it was
until he, like, says the last thing, and then you see him, and it's like, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, no, it's still, I really dig that. So, talking about Batman's out of the picture. And then we go back to Batman in the cell, and like this, it was another, I think with like one of the other Scarecrow episodes, anytime Batman has a really bad hallucination, they do a pretty good job with it, because with this one, obviously when the door opens up, whoo, it gets
Oh.
and it's all red and just like, yeah.
Well,
The way it
then when when the red settles down and we kind of see like the streets and you kind of realize it's Crime Alley,
yeah,
and it's almost like Picasso, like it's so
it's
distorted.
distorted. Yeah.
I mean, it's so awesome. And let's be honest, these visions are legit creepy.
Yeah,
Like,
they very much. Dude, I mean, especially this one, because when he runs out there, I mean, obviously the straitjacket is now not on him, and then he sees his parents, and then they do a thing where we've all had this nightmare where you're trying to run and you can't. Everything's just your legs are heavy, you can't do it. So he's just like trying to go after his parents, and he's just like, don't go in there, and he's just
yeah, and there's this weird tunnel, and then suddenly the tunnel is the barrel of a gun.
Of the gun, and there's red coming out of it too, and I'm like, was that blood, or is that just supposed to be I don't
lava?
know,
Like,
or something, maybe, but
still,
I just kind of,
Oh, but the metaphor of all of that is like, dude. Yeah. Once again, this is your weekly installment of This Is a Kid Show.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, we should have just titled this whole this whole series like if this was a kid show, because man, it gets to that point again where when it turned into a gun, I was like, holy crap, I forgot.
And then it cocks like the hammer. The hammer cocks, and then you hear it fire, and Batman gets blown away in his nightmare.
Good Lord, man. Oh, crazy.
Okay, we're about halfway through the episode at this point, maybe a little past the halfway point. This is already such an incredible episode, and I don't like this is another one's episodes that like nobody talks about, but this is like top tier.
Yeah, this is top tier, and it's not mentioned with some of the great origin stories or whatever, the ones that we always refer to, your gray ghosts, your everything. But I mean, rewatching this again, I'm going, this I'm gonna say, I mean, with the whole noir voiceover, with just the way that everything's playing out and the visions, and you're right, this needs to be talked about way more.
And it's hands down the best Scarecrow episode
of
the entire series.
Exactly. And I know there's there's definitely that. And, and then this is only the first vision that we see too. The second one is like, there was like a part in the second one where I went, again, this is a kid show.
This is a kid show.
And that's the clip that I pulled because
oh wow. Like I didn't even remember that. Like
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly what you're talking about, man.
Oh man, it was like, whoa, that was pretty damn good. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder too, when like they pitch all this, like how many times we're like, can we actually do this?
Oh my god, I was here going, how did this get past standards and practices?
Yes. I don't know, but so then we get back to Batman and Cell, and then that's where he dropped the line that no security is absolute. And then he asks for like, where's Arkham's water supply? Tries to escape. Kind of doesn't really do a good job with that, but we know eventually he's gonna escape. We do. And then we see Scarecrow setting up his timer. I like his pocket watch
with the Grim Reaper on. I'm like, dude, where did you get that piece? Like, that felt a little 66 to me. Just a little 66.
Well, I know. There's so many things throughout any Batman things where you kind of go, it's very 66 because it's like it's so on brand for the character, I go all the way back to Batman Returns when he puts the fucking the CD and there's a Bat logo on the CD player, and I'm like, I mean, why? Or the video disc, whatever the hell they call it, back laser disc, I guess. But it's like, why would you need a Bat logo on that? It's so it's 66 because everything was all about branding. Everything was about branding about that. And I know like other shows that have parody stuff like that, they'll talk about like, it's about branding. And I'm like, you know exactly what they're talking about. 66 Batman. So he wants to get to the water supply. And then of course, we get back to Batman and Cell, and he escapes. He finally escapes his cell. And then of course we got all the guards that have the trank darts, and there's a whole.
Oh, by the way, funny little Easter egg.
Okay. I don't think I caught it.
I don't even know if it means anything, but it was weird. It just caught my attention. But when they focused on the box that had all the trank darts in it, like there was the name of the darts, and then underneath it said a Doindexter company. And I'm just like, Doindexter, instead of Poindexter, it was Doindexter. I'm like, okay, was that a screw up on the animator's part? They misspelled it, or what was that?
We didn't. Yeah, it's we put a D instead of a P. Our bad. Nobody will notice. But then again, 30 years later, who knew that two grown men were going to be, discussing these
HD.
In HD. They didn't think about that. They didn't think ahead. But yeah, I didn't even catch like the name right there. I just was like, I was probably typing and just like, as they were doing that. But yeah, so we have this cool like little escape, and of course Batman's doing his thing, and then this is where he makes it to the supply, and this is where he gets to.
This is where we just like trip, like we just trip the light fantastic, man.
Yeah, and and we get an appearance from some of the his rogues gallery, and it's just oof, man. So here it is right here where it's just he gets down in this cave, and at first you're like, man, it's very Batcave like, of course, and then you kind of go like, something gonna play with that, I don't know, but yeah, so yeah. Jeez.
Oh god, man.
You got a freaking rat Joker face.
The only thing that's distracting to me about that is the fact that it's so obvious that's not Mark Hamill doing
I know. I noticed that too. I'm like, this is not him doing the laugh.
I'm curious who did the laugh.
Yeah, me too. I want to do something. And then we got this
giant penguin.
And I love the fact that you hear the theme songs, of course.
Yes.
Transition. And then this is where it gets really.
Oh boy!
Man. Yep. Oh my god! Man.
The exploding penguin head.
Yes, and then he throws a razor blade at it. And then he melts. Oh.
I do love the fact they're using clay-face sound effects.
No.
I know. I was like, okay, yeah. You think that Clayface might show up? Maybe it was supposed to be like a representation of Clayface, or
yeah, like they just amalgamated them.
Yeah, like they didn't want to actually show Clayface, but they were like, hey, it's kind of Clayface-esque.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stu coming up.
I love that. Yeah, Stu coming up. Jeez.
Oh, and then he falls into it and like oh my god,
into Scarecrow's mouth.
Oh my god, and this is a nightmare. If you've ever fallen in a nightmare, it is like one of the worst feelings ever.
Well, it jolts you awake. It always jolts you awake. But yeah. Jeez, and it just keeps going.
It keeps going.
And then finally we're done. Jeez. Man, yeah. Very, very, as the Joker, Jared Leto Joker says, so intense.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Eric even said maybe it was like a leftover. Maybe it could have been like a Tim Curry left. No, he said
no, because we've heard that.
Yeah,
no,
it's not a leftover.
They just got somebody, just one of the actors. It's one of the voices in the episode because they either that or it's like or it's someone on the crew, like because Tim, Romano, like whoever was like recording that day was like, hey. Can you
get on it? But you kind of maybe would have thought that maybe they could have found something that fit that, but then at the same time, I don't the logistics of animation and trying to match it all up, that could have been pretty hard to do.
Or also what you're dealing with is the fact that if you use his voice, you got to pay him for that episode.
That's very true. So that's probably that's yeah. That's
because that's like actors. Because why do you think you get the guy to voice the goon? Because we don't have to pay you any extra. We're already paying you to be in the episode. Like, just jump over here and read a few more lines as a goon.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I'm glad you actually noticed that too, because I was like, ain't Mark Hamill. I'm like, we know Mark Hamill's Joker laugh. That ain't it right there. But but yeah, that's just God, man. It's just rewatching again, and it was just like, I mean, that's why I knew you were saying you were commenting about the same thing I was, because literally Penguin's head just bursts
like a balloon.
Yes, for Two-Face's head to show up, and I mean, it's like wow. awesome. I love it. Absolutely love it. And then so of course we got all that, and then it's funny because then we go back to where Scarecrow and his goons are, and they're about ready to do their thing, and then of course Batman swings in, but of course he's still very much got the toxin within him, and then Scarecrow knows this. He goes, fight him. He's totally, you got this. Don't worry. Because usually, obviously, if you're a goon, you're like, I'm not going to take on Batman. He's going to kick my ass. But
especially these goons. They're like engineers. Like,
they're not fighters.
This isn't the muscle. Like, no, this isn't like,
we got him, boss. Let's do it. What do you want to do with him, boss? No, these are smart dudes. They're smart dudes. They know what they're doing. They're working this whole machine. So, but Scarecrow is like, hey guys, don't worry. Like, he's infected. He's gonna be
scared of you.
Yeah. And sure enough, we actually see what he sees, and it's frightening. It's absolutely absolutely frightening. But then I love the fact that Batman just goes, all right, I'm gonna grab this microphone and whistle into it to hurt everybody's ears.
I love it. It's like, because I'll weaken them, and then I can't be afraid of them. And And then, of course, I still love, this guy, and I wish I never remember his name, but whoever the voice of Scarecrow is, like, just that texture of his voice was like, Batman, you didn't think I'd have backup controls? I mean, it's just a great voice.
It really is. Yeah. And he does all that. And then we have another like frightening kind of moment that we see, because obviously we got these levers that obviously shuts off the machine, and one of the pipes turns into a very, very scary looking snake.
Yeah. Oh, this is after he's like looking down, and it suddenly goes.
Yeah. When they do all that, man, when they really emphasize like height, which they do. Well, we saw that in obviously the episode with Robin when he was
Fear of Victory.
Fear of Victory. Yeah. I mean, they did a very great job of just emphasizing the height and just being frightened. The animation, of course, great. But yeah, then of course he like overcomes it and like grabs the snake, but of course he's just grabbing the pipe. I mean, that's got to be, I mean, when you're Batman and you have all that going, I mean, that's what's kind of cool. It was like, that was like the climax of him overcoming and just kind of going, I got to do this. And of course he gets it done with 1 second left.
Of course.
Yeah. It's always 1 second. And then of course the whole thing, the whole machine and everything explodes.
But by the way,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have to challenge the episode on one thing.
Okay.
That is a big ass machine.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Because I was like, when he was talking about this machine and stuff like that, and even like when we saw it with Torchy and everything was very much kind of like, right there. But yeah, this thing was like, whoa.
It's like the size of a building.
Yeah, it really is.
How the hell did you get that under Arkham? I'm
These
sorry.
5 pieces to just kind of put it together with these guys. I guess.
I know. I just.
You know why, Scott? Because it had to explode at the end, and we had to get those cool Batman the Animated Series explosions and sound effects. That's what it was.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, but this thing's like the size of Hardak. I mean,
right?
And honestly, look, let's be honest. When we get to Heart of Steel, this thing looks a little bit like Hardak.
It kind of does. Yeah, now that I think about it, that's a good comparison. I like it. I absolutely like it. And then, of course, the gas gets released, and and this was one of the things that going back to Batman Begins again was the fact that Crane ends up getting the toxin.
Gassed. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe that was one of the things where Nolan was like, nah, our Scarecrow, his mask is going to prevent anything.
Let's be honest. Isn't that smart that Scarecrow's mask would basically be a
gas mask?
Well, a gas mask. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No. And I think that's probably one of the things when they were trying to come up with it, where they were writing and they were like, but I think it's covering, and that was that's what was super smart. So then, like when you got that at the end, where like Batman does take off his mask, a little bit of your medicine doctor, right in his bare face. But yeah, it was just kind of like, so this Scarecrow, this mask is just for show, show, and it's a good mask. Don't get me wrong, but you'd think that maybe he would like reinforce it but then again, he's got like the open mouth and everything like that.
And
maybe
the fake teeth. Like,
Yeah, maybe the old balloon looking mask was better, even though it looked
the one
ugly.
that looks literally like a sack. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then of course we get Crane back in Arkham. It's freaking out, which was cool. Kind of reminded me a little bit, obviously, in Batman Begins, where he was in the straitjacket killing Murphy, and he's just like Scarecrow, a little bit. But of course, in this version, he's more freaking out, and we get Bartholomew, him again too, and then of course we get this because we had another episode where we have the infamous bed in the Batcave.
I know, and there was a part of me that went, okay,
yeah,
I was trying to headcanon. Okay, he's gonna sleep for 2 days. Why the hell
would you want to sleep in a
Batcave?
It seems chilly, especially you're sleeping with the shirt off. I don't know if it's got heat. Maybe Alfred's gonna come back with one of those portable heaters and just put it down there for him. Yeah, you think you want to be cozy up in your master bedroom that is probably huge and got the best mattress in the world.
Like
and
your bedroom is bigger than my entire house.
Exactly. But I think for purposes of the ending shot, because the ending shot,
by the way,
yes, we got a bat that is in the Batcave, does a hanging upside down thing, and then spreads his wings, and then the shadow illuminates, or the shadow like goes over.
I mean, the shadow of the bat.
The shadow of the bat goes right over Bruce as he's on the in bed right there, and then it ends like that. So I mean, I get it for the purpose of that, but yeah, in reality, I ain't gonna sleep in a fucking Batcave. For 2 days. That's no way.
Well, I think the only other part of me that was like, if someone wanted to visit Wayne Manor, at least if Bruce Wayne's going to be out of commission for 2 days, you can at least hide him in the Batcave. So there's like no chance that somebody would find him.
I can get that too, but at the same time, it's like, well, if he's not here, don't let him in, Alfred. That's all. So yeah. But again, you just gotta, sometimes things are just like that, because I mean, at the same time, you could be like, well, it's kind of cool that he is sleeping in the Batcave. Maybe he feels more comfortable in the Batcave.
Well, and that goes back to that whole like psychology thing we also talked about with Dr. Lemony, the idea of, there's Bruce Wayne, there's Bruce, and then there's Batman, and like this is Bruce. Like this
And then and especially since we delve into his psyche a little bit, obviously anytime there's a Scarecrow episode, you kind of do that, because obviously we see his fears and whatnot. Maybe that could be, I would say that could be like the best explanation, that he just feels more comfortable in the Batcave, I guess, maybe. So, but hey,
it's just a damn fine episode, man.
That's a good episode.
And you got the Spectrum animation, so it just looked gorgeous like the whole way through. Yeah.
And the shadows and everything, and it's just a great episode. It's a one that definitely needs to be talked about more. And like you said, it's the best Scarecrow episode for sure. I mean, we've had this is our third.
This is our third.
Episode? Yeah. Crazy. And now it definitely. Do we get any more? We get another one, right? Or is this it?
We actually Scarecrow
for this version.
For this version of Scarecrow. He will show up in like background, but like this is, if I'm remembering correctly, this is the last Scarecrow episode.
Gotcha.
And like I said, until we get to season 3.
Okay, so is that the one where fear gets taken away?
Yes.
What was that episode? Yeah, where Bruce just has no fear, which is a great episode. Because that was with Tim Drake, right?
It was Tim Drake. And that's with the redesign of Scarecrow and different voice actor.
True. And that redesign, man, they went
hard. I know. Hard on that redesign.
With the cut noose and around his neck and everything like that. Yeah, they went hard with it. So, but guys, this was a great episode that needs to be talked about more. You got anything else to add to it?
Like I said, put this one in your conversation. It is hands down the best Scarecrow episode. It is an amazing episode that I wish more people like acknowledged. And I'm sorry. Opening day, me watching Batman Begins, I was like, seriously? Okay. Like, I really was distracted watching Batman Begins going, I know this plot line.
I know this plot. Yeah. I've seen this before. Yeah. That's just cool. But again, I love the fact that Christopher Nolan was like, hey, this is a good story. The fact that he used, the main plot.
I think I would give more credit to Goyer for this.
Or Goyer. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. We don't. Yeah, when it comes to writing, I mean, obviously, Nolan is good at the filmmaking part. Yes, maybe the writing. Let's face it. A lot of people even say like the the movies that he has that doesn't have his brother co-writer are, they're the better ones, which I can see. Anytime that Nolan doesn't have his brother involved, you kind of go.
It's just different, though.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different, and I mean, we're not going to go. I'm going to fight Garza, but it's
yeah.
But it's just different, and I think Batman Begins is also the only one where it was co-written by Goyer. I think Goyer did story for at least Dark Knight, but then the actual screenplay is only credited to Chris and Jonathan.
And you could feel that too, because I always say like Batman Begins best origin story. It's CBM in my opinion, and I know a lot of people love that actually more than Dark Knight, and I'm
there's the argument.
Yeah,
it's completely understandable.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I never push back against it either, because I go, yeah, it has a different feel, 100%. Than Dark Knight, and there's even times where I'm like, there's some moments in this in Batman Begins that I'm like, God, it's so good.
It is so good. If you want to say Batman Begins is the best of the Dark Knight trilogy, I am okay with it. I guess in my mind, I can go, Batman Begins is the best Batman movie.
Yeah.
Dark Knight, in my opinion, is the best film of the trilogy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a distinction. Like that is
it's a good distinction. It really is. Now I totally understand. I never push back against anybody who says Batman Begins is better, because you just go back and watch that and there's just so much it's
so good.
Yeah, there's a different feel, different aesthetic.
It's much more comic booky, which is weird to say about the Dark Knight trilogy, but
yeah, I know. It definitely does. I mean, it just, you felt the more grittier Gotham, because when it comes to Dark Knight, you felt more Chicago-y,
yeah.
And then it was international. He goes to Hong Kong. It's very much. I mean, it's very much more. I would say it's more grounded. Dark Knight, maybe, I guess, but
because it feels like it. Like I think the thing people say it's basically a crime drama with Batman in it.
Exactly, and
it feels like Heat, or like. It feels like Michael Mann a little bit more.
A little Michael, and then Batman Begins. I mean, with Scarecrow and the visions and everything like that, it just, that's where it gets more comic booky, because when it comes to Joker and the and even Two-Face, a different, that's not a Two-Face that got blown by, his face got messed up by acid. It was like all like gas and explosion. I mean, they really did a good job of grounding Dark Knight with those characters, because it's just like, oh yeah, this Joker, it's just, he wants pure anarchy. He doesn't give a shit. Like it's not gangster Joker. It's just the anarchist Joker, which of course worked. But anyways, so there you go, guys. Dreams in Darkness. Great episode. And next week, what do we got?
We're back with Poison Ivy. With Eternal Youth.
Okay, so this is the one where Alfred is involved, right? Yeah. That's where he goes to the resort. Okay.
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I have not revisited this one in a hot minute.
I've watched, I think when I did my rewatch on HBO Max, I think I really, I mean, I remember it not being a bad episode, but it's not going to be as strong as some of the ones that we've done recently.
But it's also not bad either. I like the way we'll talk about this next week, but it's like I like that Alfred gets some spotlight. That's always nice. There's some creepy parts about this episode coming up. It gets a little what at some point.
Yeah, totally. I know exactly what you're talking about. So yeah, go ahead and check that out, guys. And we'll be back with you, of course, next week talking about that episode. So go ahead, Scott, plug yourself.
Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter at ScottDC27. You can find my podcast, the DC Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found. We're on Vero, Facebook, YouTube, and the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com.
There it is. All right, guys, smash that like, thumbs up. Do all that. You guys know what to do. Make sure you subscribe. If you want to become a member, do so. We got the Patreon down there, everything. We got merchandise. Of course, you want to get Batman the Fan-imated stream shirt. It is down there. And yes, you want us standing very, standing just up there, just, yes, on top of a building like Batman is, with our chest pumped out and everything. It's great. Anyways, guys, we love you, and we'll see you next week. Talk to you later.